The Borg are one of, if not the most scary, deadly, and most badass foes the Federation has ever come up against. Unlike most other enemies that pose some off-screen threat, kill a few red shirts, and are ultimately defeated by the Enterprise crew, we see firsthand the sheer amount of damage the Borg are able to inflict. Outposts eradicated entirely, a whole armada of starships obliterated, and let's not forget about the assimilation and mental scarring of main characters. But over time, although remaining an imposing presence, the Borg have become less and less of that unstoppable force that we came to dread so much in the TNG era. In fact, victories start to come thick and fast against the Borg, ending with their assumed annihilation, or at least severe crippling at the end of Voyager, disregarding expanded universe material beyond that point for now. However, through a last-ditch attempt at assimilating Earth, they caused a temporal incursion that could ultimately weave their very being into the fabric of time itself, ensuring that the Borg can never truly be destroyed.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my rack.
Stardate 50893.5. The Borg have returned. A single cube rushes headlong into the heart of Federation space, straight for Sector 001, Earth. With their recent ill-fated attempt to assimilate Species 8472 in the Delta Quadrant, and the new threat literally tearing the Collective apart, they aim at all costs to gain a distal staging ground against the fluidic aliens, as well as remove what has become one of their largest obstacles, humanity. Once more though, the Borg have underrated the tenacity of Species 5618, who have greatly advanced their defensive technology, and have the tactical knowledge of Jean-Luc Picard, previously Locutus of Borg. Upon the arrival of the USS Enterprise E, the cube is destroyed in short order, but in desperation the Borg launch a sphere and travel back in time to 2063, right before Earth is due to make their first warp flight and make contact with their first alien race, the Vulcans, catapulting humanity into an age of prosperity and unification that would last for centuries. The Borg at this point are acting almost frantically to assimilate Earth, doing whatever they can to push towards their goal despite what it may cost them. Previously, we have seen the Borg willing to give up ships and large amounts of drones if they feel the situation is no longer to their advantage. But given the losses that they have suffered to Species 8472, the assimilation of Earth must be accomplished, as there are little to no reinforcements left to assist them. Furthermore, this explains the presence of the Borg Queen herself. A mission of that importance would need the quick thinking and ingenuity of her single mind, with decisions needed to be made on the fly. Upon travelling to 2063, the Borg's primary objective drastically changes. Assimilation of Earth is at this point no longer immediately viable, so they attempt to stall or stop first contact by firing on the surface and transport drones to the Enterprise before the sphere can be destroyed. From there, their only aim is to contact the Collective of this time in the Delta Quadrant and call for reinforcements so that Earth may be assimilated early in the timeline, giving the Collective a sizable and distant staging ground that would have otherwise been the Federation in their inevitable war with Species 8472. Fortunately for humanity's future, the Enterprise manages to stop the Borg and preserve the future of the Federation, but just by chance a few drones survived in the wreckage of the sphere, crashing into the Arctic where they would remain frozen until 2153, when researchers would uncover their bodies and begin researching them, unaware of what they really were. Effectively disconnected from the hive mind, the drones would have established a local network with each other and the researchers they would inevitably assimilate. From here they would work purely from the last instructions they received from the Borg Queen herself. Make contact with the hive mind of this time. Following these instructions blindly, the drones assimilate the researchers' small ship on site and set course for the Delta Quadrant, all the time upgrading the ship, improving its engines, its weapons, and most importantly for their objective, its communication systems. While assimilating more raw materials and personnel en route, they gain Starfleet's attention, who send the Enterprise NX-01 to investigate and eventually stop the Borg threat. Still working on the desperation of a Collective under siege, the drones send out their message. However, the upgrades of the communication system were not quite good enough, and the signal would take over 200 years to reach its destination. 212 years later, the Federation has long been established and the USS Enterprise D is exploring distant worlds when they have yet another encounter with the enigmatic Q, who hurtles them 7,000 light years into the path of a mysterious cube-shaped ship, in order to supposedly teach them a lesson about what dangers lay in the deep galaxy. Rather, what he was actually doing was giving them a rather direct warning about what was coming. For this cube, some way from Borg space, is the ship sent to investigate the message, over 300 years in the making, sent by the assimilated Arctic research vessel, by the drones under the command of the Borg Queen, who had actually not received their orders for another 8 years.
The future is the past is the future. It all gives me a headache.
This encounter would eventually lead to the Battle of Wolf 359, Picard's assimilation, and the attack on Earth in a desperate attempt to create a staging ground against the Species 8472 incursion and destroy one of the collective's largest hindrances in one fell swoop. And thus the temporal loop is created, preserving the Borg for all time in a cycle that would stave off their own destruction. It seems somehow ironic then that it was a Starfleet ship that would save them from the fluidic menace not 2 months later in the form of USS Voyager, just trying to get home. Beyond the Battle of Sector 001, regardless of if the Unimatrix Zero rebellion succeeded, or if Janeway's pathogen spread through the whole collective, in this loop the Borg are eternal, looping around and around, not creating a new reality, merely always being. Although the Borg are smart and adaptable, all it would take in one of these loops is for the drones of the Arctic research vessel to transmit additional tactical data about the Federation defences at Earth, or instructions to kill Picard rather than assimilate him, and who knows how the future might play out. Maybe it's just a matter of time. After all, resistance is futile.